Here's your answer.
Kick your morning routine into high gear with any sized iced coffee for just $1.99.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones.
And I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, a man has died following an explosion in Rockport this afternoon. A
Maine State Police spokesperson says crews responded to an explosion at Rockport Steel just before 3 p.m. An investigation by the fire marshal's office determined that 39-year-old Sean Rancourt was welding on a diesel fuel tank when it exploded. Rancourt was treated on scene by EMS providers but did not survive. His body was taken to the medical examiner's office in Augusta for an autopsy.
The Maine Forest Service is now investigating multiple fires that caused travel challenges for drivers on Route 1 in Hancock around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Crews from several area towns were called to put out 5 separate fires within a 7-mile stretch between the YU Takeout in Hancock and Darlings in Ellsworth. The smoky conditions made it difficult to see in some spots. Firefighters were able to get the flames out quickly. Officials say they're not exactly sure what started the fires. The investigation remains ongoing.
Well, Maine State Police are investigating the death of a young child from Thomaston. Rescuers were called to the local Walmart Wednesday night for a report of a 22-month-old child that was not breathing. The child was then transported to Penn Bay Medical Center, where they were pronounced dead. The State Police Major Crimes Unit was contacted to investigate, which is standard protocol in all child deaths in Maine. An autopsy is also being conducted by the medical examiner's office to determine a cause of death.
Harold Chip Lamson, the owner of Lamson's Funeral Homes, was arrested on theft charges back on May 19th. Now investigators say they're seeing an influx of complaints and concerns coming in daily. While this is an ongoing investigation and they don't have any further details to release at this time, they do have some guidance on how you can move forward with your own concerns as they work through their investigation. For inquiries regarding the Lincoln location, you can call Bowers Funeral Home. For questions about mortuary trust agreements originating from the Millinocket location, you can contact the financial institution listed on the trust agreement. If you've got concerns related to the misuse of a mortuary fund at the Lincoln or East Millinocket locations, you should notify the Lincoln Police Department. You can view the contact information and more details on our website, foxbangor.com.
The Waldo County grand jury indicted a man who was arrested after shots were fired in Unity. Multiple law enforcement agencies converged at 118 J.C. Place in May after a Maine forest ranger requested assistance. The ranger initially went there to investigate illegally cut trees and was confronted by gunshots. The Waldo County Sheriff's Office says one of the gunshots was fired in the ranger's direction. 38-year-old Sherrod Parker of Unity was indicted for reckless conduct with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person.
A firefighter and former Kennebec County official have been indicted by a grand jury. 50-year-old Arthur True is the former director of the Kennebec County Emergency Management Agency. A criminal complaint alleges True intentionally engaged in an activity that caused a woman emotional distress. He's also accused of illegally copying a computer program. The Kennebec County grand jury indicted him for aggravated criminal invasion of computer privacy and stalking. A Winslow firefighter accused of stealing thousands of dollars was also indicted. 34-year-old Sean Stetson of Fairfield allegedly took more than $12,000 from the Winslow Firefighters Association. The Kennebec County Sheriff's Office says unauthorized cash withdrawals began in February 2023. Stetson was indicted for theft by unauthorized taking.
Meanwhile, reaction to Donald Trump's historic criminal conviction pouring in after the former president was found guilty on 34 felony counts. Fox's Connor Hansen has the latest from New York.
Donald Trump says he's not done with his legal fight and will appeal this. President Biden responding to that conviction in a speech from the White House today.
This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency.
Just one day after being convicted on 34 felony counts, a defiant former President Donald Trump blasted the trial, saying voters will vindicate him.
Because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. but we're going to make America great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th, remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country.
President Biden breaking his silence on the matter, also addressing the historic verdict.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed.
The president working to reassure the American people that the justice system worked.
Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson called the conviction absurd, saying the Supreme Court should get involved.
I do believe the Supreme Court should step in. Obviously, this is totally unprecedented, and it's dangerous to our system.
What you saw is, for the first time that we can remember, Donald Trump does not get to control the narrative in court.
Over the next 6 weeks, in preparation for his sentencing, the former president will have to report to the New York City Department of Probation. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Meanwhile, politicians in our state are speaking out following the historic verdict of former President Trump. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard gathered some of those reactions and has more.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution.
On Thursday, former President Donald Trump became the first former president in U.S. history to be convicted of a felony. While the fight is not over with Trump likely to appeal his case, we caught up with some Maine politicians to find out their reaction to this unprecedented case.
To me, this is very obvious that the goal here is to make Trump stumble in the election.
Well, that's political persecution at its finest. The use of lawfare to combat against one's political opponent. That's using the law to combat politics. That's what it is.
Representative Austin Terrio, who is running against Sobolewski for the Republican 2nd Congressional District nomination, released the following statement, quote, "This was obviously a sham trial forced on us by paid political operatives and presided over by a judge with close ties to the Democrats' election apparatus," end quote. Congressman Jared Golden said, quote, "As of today, Donald Trump is the Republican candidate for president. I have no doubt that the information about this verdict will feature in the campaign. I trust the people of Maine with their votes." When asked if they think this will hurt Trump's chances for re-election, here's what Reps Sobolewski and Lemelin had to say.
Personally, I think it's going to help Donald Trump. The reason I think that is when I looked, his website crashed yesterday, and he gathered in a nanosecond a little over $30 million.
I think it will make that big of an impact here in the state of Maine. I think Donald Trump, especially in CD2, has a very solid grasp on his political base here, and his message resonates with us. We understand this for what it is.
The Maine Democratic Party chair released the following statement, quote, "In the United States of America, no one is above the law. However, the guilty verdict in Donald Trump's criminal trial doesn't change the fact that the only way to keep him out of the Oval Office is by beating him at the ballot box this November. Convicted felon or not, he will be the Republican nominee for president. It is up to us to prevent a second Trump term of chaos, revenge, and retribution," end quote. Former President Trump's sentencing date is scheduled for July 11th. 4 days before the Republican National Convention. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, Senator Angus King believes Maine's illegal marijuana growing operations are likely managed directly by the Chinese Communist Party. King says both himself and Senator Susan Collins recently spoke with the Attorney General's office asking to see what evidence the U.S. has collected so far on the potential link between the illegal grows and the Chinese government.
In many ways, there's no such thing as a private business in China. Every business has a link to the government. And that's one of the reasons I'm so concerned about what they're doing, because all the data they're collecting, what information they have, it could and probably is going directly to the Chinese Communist Party. I think that's a concern.
Earlier this month, authorities estimated there were more than 200 illegal grows still operating in the state of Maine.
All right, and as we turn our attention to the outdoors today, A little bit of a mixed bag out there.
Yeah.
Overall, kind of a common mild day with a lot of clouds out there, but we did see a couple sprinkles in between as well.
We did have the good fortune, though, of having no precipitation and very, sort of calm, mild conditions when we were in Bar Harbor earlier today. So that was certainly appreciated.
Yeah.
It was a little cloudy. It wasn't a perfect sunny day, but, all in all, still a nice day to be outside.
For sure.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get a first check of our forecast.
All right, Beth, thank you. Happy Friday. Your first weather is brought to you by Pet Care by Lindsay, is an home pet care provider servicing the greater Bangor, Waterville, Ellsworth, Bar Harbor, and Mid-Coast areas. Let's talk about the weather. And hey, what a nice day, right? Some clouds out there, a couple sprinkles with temperatures hanging out in the 70s for most locations today. A bit warmer tomorrow, and there still could be an 80 in the 5-day forecast. This is a bit of a surprise today. Some more cloud cover and a couple sprinkles out there now. This will be out of here, though, tonight and tomorrow. We'll have decreasing clouds tomorrow morning and then a very nice day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine, as all of this will go away and we are left with nothing but sunshine across the region for tomorrow. Our forecast then tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies, then decreasing clouds, low temperatures down near 48. Your full forecast is coming up. Beth?
Alrighty, Jeff, thank you. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Doug Banks went to Cadillac Mountain to highlight a local shuttle service and how they're looking to have an impact on the community.
And progress is being made, but there's still lots of work to be done on the shore path at Bar Harbor following those severe winter storms. We'll have those stories and more when we come back.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. At Refine, we're proud to offer Maine-made Paradigm windows crafted with care and precision to ensure quality and durability like no other. From quaint cottages to bustling businesses, let us refine your space with our signature Maine-made touch. Trust Refine to exceed your expectations every time. Contact us today and let Maine craftsmanship elevate your home or business. Rise with Refine.
Higher shipping rates may be the cost of doing business, but at what cost?
Turn shipping to your advantage with low-cost ground shipping from the United States Postal Service.
Feeling from a backed up gut? Miralax works naturally with the water in your body to help you go. Free your gut and your mood will follow. For 8 grams of fiber, try Mirror Fiber Gummies.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in pet orthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
What I'm doing, getting right to it. Money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Let's get it.
Let's party, dude.
Name that tune. The show where singing along is encouraged.
It's all going down tonight.
What? Name that tune.
Premieres Monday, June 3rd on Fox.
Welcome back. And local business is giving people an easy option to experience one of Mount Desert Island's most popular destinations. Join our Doug Banks as he takes a ride on the Cadillac Mountain Summit Shuttle.
All right, let's roll.
After 37 years of living on the island and her experience as a tour guide, Ellen Finn's new venture in her life is born from an enduring passion.
I have the best job in the world.
A few years back, her fondness for driving to the summit of Acadia National Park's Cadillac Mountain was met with an obstacle.
When they put the reservation system in, we lost our access. We now have to have reservations.
Finn saw a way around this, and in 2023 started the Cadillac Mountain Summit Shuttle with her Mercedes Sprinter Bessie. The service allows visitors to enjoy the summit without a shuttle reservation. The shuttle departs from 317 Main Street in downtown Bar Harbor 7 days a week, with a one-way ticket costing $10 and a round-trip ticket at $20. It's easy access to a place where millions have found serenity, whether they reach the summit by car or by foot.
It gives people the opportunity to hike up or hike down and then still have an affordable service to take you the other half.
This is part of our experience now that we met Ellen and we're doing something different.
Her business has seen steady growth, going from 3 drivers to 8, and another van will soon accompany Bessie. However, spreading the word has been a challenge.
My biggest problem is people don't know that it's happening. It's the first time a shuttle ever on Cadillac Mountain.
As they work to put this service on the map, another passenger boards and another burden melts away.
I don't have to worry about trying to park. I don't have to worry about getting the car up here.
What's the future of this business looking like?
Not quite sure. Doing what I got to do to keep it floating, and we'll see what happens down the line. Hello, Cadillac Mountain Summit Shuttle.
In Bar Harbor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the Shore Path in Bar Harbor is an iconic trail for locals and tourists alike. But like so many attractions along Maine's coast, it too was battered by the December and January storms. According to the president of the Village Improvement Association, a Bar Harbor-based nonprofit, around 800 feet of seawall and most of the path's surface did wash away. But work to restore the 140-year-old shore path is well underway along the section connecting the town's pier to Grant Park, thanks to a generous donation of $300,000 from the former owners of the Bar Harbor Inn and the VIA raising another $300,000. The repairs are expected to be complete in the next few weeks. However, more work will still need to be done on the path from Grant Park to Hancock Street. The Village Improvement Association is still $100,000 short of their overall goal, though, so the nonprofit is looking to set up an endowment so the shore path can survive another 140 years.
The local businesses, the residents, and so many people from away, probably people from every state, have donated some large amounts because they love the shore path. But we also realize that we're not the only ones in need. There are private homes, businesses, piers, buildings, and things that need to be reconstructed. So again, it's a slow process, and the entire process might not be completed until next year.
Well, according to KOF, a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the town pier to Grant Park portion of the Shore Walk will take place before July 4th. And to learn more about their work, or if you're interested in donating to their efforts, you can visit our website, foxbangor.com.
And still to come on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, Israel has offered a new 3-phase ceasefire proposal to Hamas.
Those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
Whether it's time to buy or sell your home, Patty Thompson is a name that you can depend on. With over 25 years of experience, your family will be in good hands with Patty Thompson.
If you've been injured in an accident, get Maine's most recognized personal injury law firm working for you today. The law offices of Joe Bornstein, fighting and winning for injured Mainers for nearly 50 years. Selected best lawyers in America for personal injury. Recognized for professional excellence. With more than $500 million collected for injured Mainers and over 25,000 victories for Maine families. Call Joe for a free case evaluation and get the Bornstein Advantage.
Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to Down East Toyota?
Oh, that's easy. All roads lead to Down East. Wherever you are in Maine, come check out Toyota's lineup of all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive vehicles. Whether you're headed up to camp or down the highway, go to downeasttoyota.com to find the perfect ride. With rates as low as 1.99% on select models.
So are you for hire?
Nope, I got a day job.
That guy looks awfully familiar.
No matter where you mow in Maine, all roads lead to Down East on Wilson Street in Brewer.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust, with no artificial growth hormones. And we protect Hood Milk with our light block bottle. We care about our milk because we know how much you care about what you give your family. So you can feel good about Hood.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs. Maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our drug premiums are zero, and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save. Even if you don't think you qualify, it pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp.
Whether it's time to buy or sell your home, Patty Thompson is a name that you can depend on. With over 25 years of experience, your family will be in good hands with Patty Thompson.
If you've been injured, call Joe, the law offices of Joe Bornstein.
A Connecticut woman convicted of helping her boyfriend murder his estranged wife learned her fate. A judge sentenced Michelle Triconis to 20 years, of which she will have to spend 14 and a half behind bars. The remainder she'll spend on probation. Before the sentence was handed down, the children of Jennifer Dulos addressed the court. Fox's CB Cotton has details.
An emotional scene in a Connecticut courtroom Friday where Jennifer Dulos' 5 children addressed the court and Michelle Triconis, the woman accused of conspiring with Jennifer's husband to murder their mother and then hide her body in 2019.
I will never forgive you for what you have done, and until you give us more answers, you will be considered evil, violent, and most definitely a coward.
Michelle Triconis to me is the reason I feel completely lost and alone on nights when I cannot sleep. She's the reason kids at school look at me with pity.
Triconis cried as she listened, only briefly looking up at the children during sentencing. Prosecutors say Triconis helped her then live-in boyfriend, Fotis Dulos, cover up the killing of his estranged wife, Jennifer. A jury convicted Triconis of multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. During the trial, police testified that surveillance video showed Triconis riding along with Fotis as he made stops to throw out garbage bags. In the bags, police said they found items with bloodstains containing Jennifer's DNA. Jennifer Dulos was reported missing on May 24, 2019. Prosecutors said she was killed in her garage by Fotis, who committed suicide in 2020 while charged with murder and awaiting trial. Jennifer's children said they will never recover from their loss.
She was my favorite person in the world, my role model. She is still somewhere in my heart. However, I will never be the same person.
Jennifer's mother has custody of the 5 children, and while her body has never been found, her family promised to never stop looking. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
There could be a new path for ending the war in Gaza. Israel has proposed a new ceasefire plan to Hamas. There's still a long road ahead to any lasting peace deal, though. Fox's Caroline Shively reports.
It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin.
President Biden at the White House announcing a new Israeli proposal that could end the country's war with Hamas.
Hamas says it wants a ceasefire. This deal is an opportunity to prove whether they really mean it.
The proposed plan would be carried out in 3 phases. Phase 1 would see a ceasefire and withdrawal of Israeli forces from populated areas of Gaza for 6 weeks. Hostages, including women, the elderly, and some Americans, would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners. And humanitarian aid would be surged into Gaza. In Phase 2, if Hamas lives up to its end of the deal, Israeli forces would withdraw from Gaza. The temporary ceasefire would become permanent. Plus,
in exchange for the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers.
Phase 3 would then see the reconstruction of Gaza. President Biden also urged the international community to support this deal.
Now it's time to raise your voices and demand that Hamas come to the table, agrees to this deal, and end this war that they began.
But there are some who are not convinced the president's plan will work.
Mark my words, Hamas is going to drag this out and stretch this out until they are rebuilt to the point where they can have more October 7th.
This comes just 2 days after Israel's national security advisor predicted the fighting would last until at least the end of the year. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
The U.S. says Ukraine can now attack Russians on their home turf using American weapons. Fox's chief national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has more from the Pentagon.
Russia is stepping up its attacks on Ukraine's eastern front, putting pressure on Kharkiv, the country's second biggest city. But now the Ukrainians have a new way to fight back. President Biden giving the green light for attacks inside Russian territory using American-made missiles. A senior U.S. official tells Fox this is a limited policy shift for the purpose of defending Kharkiv. But at a 2-day NATO meeting in Prague, Secretary of State Antony Blinken hinted there could be more coming.
The stakes couldn't be higher at this moment. Going forward, we'll continue to do what we've been doing, which is, as necessary, adapt and adjust.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been asking for this authorization for months, and now he says he'll press for the White House to allow Ukraine to use other weapons, including Western-made F-16s, to take the fight to Russia.
They can stay just on their territory through the borderline, just attack us and kill. And this is something not normal.
Ukraine's military was low on ammunition and not able to push back against Russian attacks for nearly 7 months. And now Moscow says it will keep pushing ahead with its spring offensive.
Russian forces are displacing the enemy from their positions. Advancement is taking place in all tactical directions.
The White House says American long-range tactical missiles can only be used by Ukraine to hit military targets inside Russia, not civilian infrastructure. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Well, still to come on Fox 22 News at 10. If you've gone down Hammond Street, odds are you've seen the new addition to Bangor's downtown beautification blitz.
And in sports, Bangor boys lacrosse is getting ready to host a playoff game for the 3rd straight year. We'll be right back.
Houston. Memphis. The United Football League, this week on Fox.
While politicians talked, President Trump fought for working people. He took on China and secured the border. I'm Austin Terrio, former NASCAR driver and small business owner. I'm proud to have President Trump's endorsement. Together we'll secure the border, stop Biden's electric vehicle mandate, and bring back American manufacturing. I'll fight to make sure our best days are ahead.
Endorsed by President Trump. Austin Terrio for Congress.
I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
Let's face it, getting training and experience is hard, but at Loring Job Corps, we can help. From certifications in automotive technology, obtaining your CDL, or learning building trades, we have you covered. Maybe you prefer joining the high-tech world of computer networking or cybersecurity. We have that as well. Don't delay, get in the driver's seat to your future today. And the best part, Loring Job Corps is free. Receive free training, free meals, and even free housing. Call or go to jobcorps.gov/Loring. Job Corps careers begin here.
Jim Small Engine, Snow's Corner Road, Arlington brings years of experience and a large parts inventory to make your engine as good as new. Lawnmowers, chainsaws, rototillers, wood splitters, generators, blowers, trimmers, and power washers will leave Jim Small Engines fully repaired, shiny clean, and ready to go. Jim Small Engines is an authorized dealer for these top brands and sells a wide array of used engines as well as new and used parts and accessories. Call Jim Small Engines at 825-3527. Check their website and like them on Facebook.
At Hood, our love for New England inspired New England Creamery. We make it with premium Hood milk and cream, then we overload it with the good stuff. Like Green Mountain Mint chip with a rich fudgy swirl, Maine Sweet Blueberry with real delicious blueberries, and Cape Cod Fudge Shop packed with fudgy truffles. Hood's New England Creamery, from Hood, for New England. Try all 10 flavors.
Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Van Sickle Kia, makes driving a new car affordable. Right now, lease a brand new Kia Forte for just $199 a month. You get 41 MPG highway and tons of technology. Or lease a brand new all-wheel drive Kia Seltos for just $259 a month. Or buy a brand new Kia Sportage for under $30,000. And best of all, every new Kia at Van Sickle comes with Kia's 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business, making driving affordable at Van Sickle Kia.
The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. I'm Peter Van Sickle. I guarantee.
have been grappling with rebuilding after severe winter storms. In January, massive waves destroyed dunes, ripped homes off their foundations, and battered piers. As Mal Meyer reports, leaders are thinking about the best way to move forward.
Kind of the mitigation was this head wall.
Months after the storms, local, state, and federal officials are still taking it all in.
Was that main road flooded as well?
Impassable.
Impassable.
This is part of a York County meeting with the brand new Infrastructure Rebuilding and Resilience Commission, a state group created after our historic storms this winter.
We want to ground the commission's policy recommendations in Mainers' lived experiences.
Leaders are concerned about the FEMA process, lack of flood insurance for many, and the massive amount of repairs still needed.
The cost to rebuild both the public infrastructure and the private property was massive.
Bob Carey is the Maine Bureau of Insurance superintendent and is on the commission. He says we need to think about if we are going to spend money on areas that are likely to get hit by a storm again.
I think that the context of the sheer cost of this is starting to sink in, and people really need to think, how best do we deploy our resources?
This is on the minds of Old Orchard Beach officials.
We have to ensure that we aren't just replacing in kind. We have to make sure that we are ready for 50 or 100-year storms.
NOAA is predicting an above normal hurricane season driven by near record warm ocean temperatures and La Nina. Emergency management officials are preparing for it.
The whole point is, how do we get ready for the storms that may come this summer or fall, may come in the future.
And that was Mal Meyer reporting. Meanwhile, the Maine Democratic 2024 State Convention kicked off today at Bangor's Cross Insurance Center. The two-day convention features a multitude of events, including activist workshops and speakers like Congressman Jared Golden and the Maine Democratic Party Chair, Bev Uhlenhake.
There's a wide range. They're from all over the state, and also just a wide variety of socioeconomic diversity throughout the entire process. So we're probably the most diverse spot in Maine right now.
Registration for the event has closed, but we will have coverage of more programs that will take place tomorrow.
Well, as many sports fans know, Mainers have been able to place bets on games since late last year using apps online. But you still can't do it anywhere in person. Our David Ledford spoke with one of Maine's state senators who says he's frustrated by how long it's taken to launch in-person sports betting since its legalization.
It's been roughly 2 years since in-person sports betting was signed into law in Maine. So why are there no in-person betting places?
Certainly it's a complete lack of transparency and accountability for the taxpayers of Maine.
Senator Joe Baldacci recently wrote to the Gambling Control Unit's executive director, Milton Champion, to question him about the delay, but received no response. Online sports betting has been available since November of last year, but Baldacci says that launching in-person sports betting could bring an economic boost to Bangor by increasing revenue at the Hollywood Casino.
The Hollywood Casino generates about $30 million a year to the state of Maine. Tax coffers generates $2.2 million a year to the city of Bangor, and it also has over 300 jobs.
He also says Maine is taking longer than most states to implement in-person sports betting.
Every other state that's had to do in-person sports gambling, the average amount of time from the time of enactment to the time rules were fully implemented was 6 months. This is completely out of the norm.
Hollywood Casino's vice president provided a statement in response to Baldacci's efforts, saying in part, quote, "We remain committed to constructive dialogue with all stakeholders to support a smooth implementation of retail sports betting at Hollywood Casino as soon as possible." End part quote. Baldacci says he may take legislative steps to make it happen.
If the actions aren't taken in good faith, then we will have to change the law and take the authority out of Mr. Champion's hands.
We reached out to Champion and the Gambling Control Unit for comment, but did not hear back. In Bangor, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And stay with us, folks. Our full 5-day is coming your way.
High temperatures mostly in the 70s across the area today, but even warmer temperatures are on the way. But when will it rain again? Details on that when I come back.
Crockett's Excavation and Auto Repair, located in Ellsworth, does it all. Whether you're looking to clear a lot, put in a driveway or road, or establish proper drainage, Crockett's Excavation has you covered. Crockett's Excavation takes pride in the fact that our work stands the test of time. Reach out today for a free estimate.
Spring is here. And now is the time to call Hickory Dickory Decks for your new deck, sunroom, or enclosed porch. They specialize in custom outdoor living and making your dream oasis a reality. See for yourself how Hickory Dickory Decks can transform your existing porch into a 3-season sun-space sunroom. Call Hickory Dickory Decks now for your free estimate. And enjoy life outdoors.
I got help to push back.
I got help to push back.
Lybalvi helps us push back against bipolar 1.
Once daily prescription Lybalvi is proven to treat manic or mixed episodes of bipolar 1 in adults to help you push back. Elderly patients with dementia have increased risk of death or stroke. Do not take Lybalvi if you are taking opioids or are in opioid withdrawal. The samidorphan in Lybalvi can cause severe opioid withdrawal that can lead to hospitalization or increased risk of life-threatening overdose. Get emergency help if you have trouble breathing, become very drowsy with slowed or shallow breathing, feel faint, very dizzy or confused, or have a fever, stiff muscles, rash, swollen glands, or problems with your liver, kidneys, heart, or lungs. Other serious side effects may include high cholesterol, weight gain, potentially fatal high blood sugar, uncontrolled body movements which may be permanent, dizziness upon standing, or falls.
Are you ready? Ask your doctor about Lybalvi. Looking for copay savings? For info, text copay to 45286.
Crockett's Excavation and Auto Repair, located in Ellsworth, does it all. Whether you're looking to clear a lot, put in a driveway or road, or establish proper drainage, Crockett's Excavation has you covered. Crockett's Excavation takes pride in the fact that our work stands the test of time. Reach out today for a free estimate.
The May GOP 2nd Congressional Forum, Monday night at 7 on Fox 22.
All right, let's start here. High temperatures back in the low to mid 70s across the area today. Tomorrow, probably mid 70s, area wide once again, as even warmer temperatures are on the way. Right now, the winds are the northwest around 10 miles per hour. It'll actually go calm for a few hours tonight. That could give us some dense fog late, and then also it will not be as cold as it was last night. All right, so then tomorrow the wind's going to come back, right? You're going to feel the wind, northwest wind tomorrow. It could gust near 20 throughout the afternoon. After it goes calm tonight and then calm again tomorrow night, kind of a windy stretch of weather is on the way for us. All right, this is your tax dollars at work saying, hey, we have a big weekend on the way, temperatures hanging out in the 70s, air temperatures, but the water temperatures here are in the 50s. So the government's saying, if you're going to the beach this weekend, make sure you take it easy. Don't go in the water for too long because 50-degree water temperature can give you hypothermia pretty quickly if you get in that water. All right, the hurricane season forecast. Of course, it starts tomorrow, and we have a forecast for above average year. Well, about an 85% chance of above average storms this year. That could give anywhere between 17 and 25 named systems this hurricane season. And of course, that season does start tomorrow. All right, going forward for us today, though, looking at lots of sunshine early, gave way to some cloud cover across the area, and then some sprinkles. This was a bit of a surprise for me, but overall, these are beginning to fade out of here right now, and we are left with some partly cloudy skies overnight tonight, and then tomorrow will be a very nice day as strong high pressure is going to build in. It'll get all of this out of here, and we'll be left with lots of sunshine tomorrow with that north breeze kind of gusty throughout the afternoon. But there is a mess in the west across the plains right now. A lot going on here. That's going to be our next weather system, and that will likely get in here probably late Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. Tonight, no issues at all. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Tomorrow night looking good as well. Sunday, we're quiet. Monday, we're quiet. Tuesday, we're quiet. Then Tuesday to Wednesday, our next system is on the way, and that could bring us a round of showers and thunderstorms late Tuesday night, but more so probably throughout the day on Wednesday. But the rainfall until then, there's not much going on here. This thing is on, right? Maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain between now and Wednesday morning with some more rain after that. Our forecast so for tonight, though, is partly cloudy skies or decreasing clouds out there. Still a couple sprinkles out there right now. Look for low temperatures down near 45 and a northwest breeze around 5 for tomorrow. All right, here we go. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. I went with 73. A couple of you could do 75 tomorrow. You'll notice that north breeze, though. It could gust near 25 throughout the afternoon, making that 73 feel just a bit cooler tomorrow. And then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows tomorrow 73, Sunday 77, plenty of sunshine Sunday, Monday plenty of sunshine 78, back in the mid-70s on Tuesday. Again, late Tuesday into Wednesday, a pretty good chance now for some more rain, showers, and storms are back in the forecast on Wednesday.
Alrighty, Jeff, thank you.
And sports is coming up next. Stay with us.
I really love the welding program here. It's one of the few welding programs on the East Coast.
When we say it'll be on time, they expect it to be on time.
Turn shipping to your advantage.
Keep those expectations with reliable ground shipping.
Thanks, Brandon.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust. With no artificial growth hormones. So you can feel good about Hood.
I've been with US Cellular for 27 years. They've always taken care of me. But when they asked me to talk to you about their special customer event, Us Days, I said, I gotta get in shape. So they sent me this Hollywood trainer. Oh, this guy's no joke. Us Days means exclusive deals just for us customers.
Now let's try burpees.
Us Days is back at US Cellular. Current customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
I've learned a lot of stuff, structural welding, pipe welding. That's given me all the tools that I didn't have before.
Tonight's sports is brought to you by Triumph Professional Cleaning Services, providing outstanding commercial cleaning services to Eastern and Central Maine. Triumph Professional Cleaning, creating an environment of cleanliness.
The NBA Finals are getting closer as we speak. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. The Dallas Mavericks, with a huge win over the Timberwolves last night, put them in the finals against our beloved Boston Celtics. So that means Boston will welcome back former point guard Kyrie Irving. Some highlights from the conference finals. That has to be one of the top storylines now heading into the finals. Irving spent a few years here, but the relationships between he and the Boston fans have soured since. He famously stepped on Lucky a few seasons ago, but regardless, Irving is playing some great basketball as of late. Here's what Joe Mazzulla had to say about Kyrie's return to Boston.
Rightly or wrongly, Kyrie is going to be perceived as a villain in the series.
Aren't we all? In someone's eyes.
Pardon me?
We're all villains in someone's eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
He's a great player. Done a lot of great things over the course of his career, and he's playing really well. So you have to respect that. You can't take that for granted, and you have to be ready to guard him at a high level.
Nice to see Joe still has a sense of humor. To the lacrosse field now. Playoffs are just around the corner, kicking off next week. In Bangor, the Rams are hosting in the first round yet again, and they've got their sights set this year on a deeper run.
As we're seniors now, we're kind of leaving the program better than we found it, I think. And each year it's been snowballing, I guess.
For the third straight year, Bangor boys lacrosse will host a first-round playoff game.
We have a good group of guys out here. We've worked together well for a couple of years, and yeah, I think carrying into this home game, we'll have energy and it'll be fun.
The Rams finished the year 10-4, their best record in those last 3 seasons, and now their hearts are set on having their best playoff run in the last 3 seasons as well.
We really just want to win 2 playoff games. I mean,
Coming off hockey, we made it all the way to the state championship, and that kind of winning mindset is just going to carry over to lacrosse. And I mean, the more lacrosse we can play, the better.
It would mean everything. I think we can go more than 2 playoff wins this year, something our program hasn't really come really close to before. You know, hosting a playoff game, we earned that.
This version of Bangor boys lacrosse has had success for a lot of reasons. Senior captain Miles Randall has been stellar, breaking the program record in points, and now he sits above 150 for his career.
He brings a lot of leadership off the field too, and he's willing to get back on defense in the ride, help our transition, and you need a guy like that, someone that can go through a wall for you.
He's really a humble guy, so it's really just been more about winning, and he's been a great guy to look up to.
Then there's the goaltending from Ty Walker.
We have really good goaltending. Ty's a great goalie.
His energy, he just brings the energy. He's always talking on the field, talking off the field, stuff like that. And in the locker room, he's bringing us together, making us laugh all the time, and that's just all you can ask for from a goalie.
Dude, he's a goofball, and it's amazing because he's good too. He has that funny side, that really funny side, but then he also turns it on when he needs to.
Lastly, the camaraderie. The seniors on this team have been together for a long time, and the entire roster is all on the same page. And for the guys suiting up for one last ride in their high school sports career, the goal is much deeper than a run to the Class A semifinals.
Win or lose, we want to play our hardest, and doing it at Bangor has been such a nice privilege.
I love this sport so much. I mean, it's going to be sad when it's over, but I just want to play these last few games, hopefully, with as much heart and fun I can have.
Wishing them luck. Let's head up to Orono right now. And the news of the day from the University of Maine coming from Maine softball. Head coach Jordan Fitzpatrick will not be returning to the university next season. The news coming from Maine earlier this afternoon. Fitzpatrick led the team to a semifinal run last year in 2023. But over her 3 seasons at the helm, the program has a 29-117 record, only winning 5 total games this past spring. In the statement from the university, athletic director Jude Killey saying he wants to thank Jordan for her service and wishes her the best moving forward, and Fitzpatrick says that she's grateful for her time, and UMaine will always hold a special place in her heart. All right, let's go to the baseball diamond now. The Red Sox trying to get back to 500 in Game 2 of a 4-game series with the Tigers. Beautiful night to be at Fenway 2. Sox hosting Detroit. This one on Apple TV. Pretty cool. 4th inning, Red Sox down 1-0. Dominic Smith hits one down the line and left off Kenta Maeda. That's going to bring Rafael Devers hustling around. He will score, ties the game at 1. Later in the 4th, same score. Ceddanne Rafaela drills the first pitch he sees off Maeda for the 3-run shot, his 6th homer of the season. Sox go up 4-1, and Rafaela, he would do it again in the 6th. This time a solo shot. That's over the monster. Sox win 7-3. And that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
You've always known what you wanted, no matter how far down the road it looked. We're here to help you get there. Brewer Federal Credit Union. BrewerFCU.org.
At Hood, our love for New England inspired New England Creamery. We make it with premium Hood milk and cream, then we overload it with the good stuff. Like Green Mountain Mint chip with a rich, fudgy swirl. Maine Sweet Blueberry with real, delicious blueberries. And Cape Cod Fudge Shop, packed with fudgy truffles. Hood's New England Creamery. From Hood. For New England. Try all 10 flavors.
What do heavy rain, extreme heat, and flying lumber all have in common? They're just a few of the things we use to test our replacement windows. At Renewal by Andersen, we put our windows through the worst because your home deserves the best. Renewal by Andersen Acclaim Custom Replacement Windows. Call or visit us online today to get some incredible savings. Affordable financing, too.
Feeling from a backed up gut? Miralax works naturally with the water in your body to help you go. Free your gut and your mood will follow. For 8 grams of fiber, try Mirror Fiber Gummies.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can capture all the summer fun. Wow, my favorite party trick.
College students and recent grads could get a $500 rebate over and above most other offers. Toyota, let's go places.
Thousands of kids like Grayson and Elliot receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center each year. You can help them by supporting the Summer Classic for Maine kids. This golf tournament will help kids receive care at Northern Light Eastern Maine Medical Center by raising funds to ensure that health care is available today, tomorrow, and in the years ahead. Every dollar raised helps kids get back to the business of being kids. For more information about the tournament and how to register, please visit northernlight.org/forkids.
You've lived quite a life. Now, it's time to live it up. We're here to help you enjoy all you've earned. Brewer Federal Credit Union. BrewerFCU.org.
This June, drop what you're doing for the Summer of Stars, because we're serving up Copa America and the Euros.
In Clinton, there's a man piecing together parts of the past for everyone to see right in his backyard. Our Devin Dagnall tells us about it in this week's Destination Devin.
I remember being at least 5, 6 years old and just knowing this is what I wanted to do.
For about the past 6 years, Paul Alexander has been making his childhood dreams a reality by building a museum in his backyard and filling it with different Americana memorabilia.
So that was a point in life where you just realize, I need to do something. If I'm going to do it, I need to be doing it now.
But there's one part of American culture that he's hyper-focused on. Cars. Paul says as far back as he can remember, he's loved everything about them. Growing up, he constantly tinkered with cars and even carved out a few of his own Matchbox cars, but things really took off when he got a car of his own.
When I was 14 years old, I bought my first car. It was the '72 Camaro, which I still have today.
Now Paul has quite the collection in his museum, with cars like the original Palace Playland car, his 1972 Camaro, and the car Tom Davis and Dan Aykroyd used to drive around town while filming Coneheads.
We must adapt.
Paul also enjoys building his own cars. He's built a replica of the Dragula from the Munsters, and he's currently working on a replica of the 1960s Batmobile and a full life-size version of an old soda machine model car.
It's a lost art. It really is.
What goes into that art?
Love and a lot of talent.
With so many projects, Paul couldn't possibly do it all by himself, and luckily, he doesn't have to. About 2 years ago, Wayne Fitch joined Paul's ranks, and they've worked together ever since.
It's just, I got something to do. My wife passed away 20 years ago, so, you know, this keeps me going.
The museum is still in its early stages, but if you or a group want to check it out, you can do so completely free. Just send Paul an email at moparalexander@yahoo.com.
One of our goals is not just filling a garage with cars that we built, but also the opportunity for people to see it, to enjoy it, to see things that they've never seen before, parts of past that's long gone.
In Clinton, Devin Dagnall, ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
Scarborough is getting a new apartment building designed for people with physical disabilities. As Brad Rogers shows us, these apartments will have some pretty amazing features not found anywhere else in Maine, leading to greater independence.
A nod right to switch lights on.
Mitch Sturgeon is one of 61 million Americans with a disability. He has multiple sclerosis.
I've lost the ability to move muscles from my neck down. Operate the rear door.
He relies on his wife and modern technology to make his life easier.
Computer, close the shades.
He's also an engineer who plans to be the tech guy for this new apartment building at the Downs, designed for others with physical disabilities.
I just see so many people out there who don't have access to this technology who could really benefit from it.
This state-of-the-art apartment building is the brainchild of Paul Lynette, whose late wife Susan also had MS.
Her impact on the community was significant, and that really drove us to realize that everybody should have the right to live life on their own terms.
His company, 3i Housing of Maine, is partnering with Preservation of Affordable Housing to build this $20 million 51-unit apartment building in the heart of the Downs community.
People are really excited about being right in the middle of everything.
Corey Fellows says these apartments will not only be accessible, they'll have cutting-edge technology throughout for people with physical disabilities and their families who are at or below 60% of the median income.
You can find housing, including some rental apartments that have some accessible features, but it's very rare to find something that has everything.
Developers are also teaming up with robotics programs at local universities to staff 2 tech centers on the first floor. One for minor repairs and customizations, the other to showcase new technologies for people with disabilities and help families obtain them.
The technology is changing so rapidly that we're in the process now of doing a needs assessment.
Developers hope to break ground this spring, and these high-tech apartments will be available sometime in 2026.
Recent tornadoes and deadly storms in the south have left many people in a place of devastation, but one Mainer is going to Texas to lend a helping hand. Raybo Frank boarded a flight at the Bangor International Airport today. For 8 years, Frank has been a volunteer with the Red Cross and will be working as a shelter supervisor in the Dallas and Houston area.
Going in and helping people is the world. If one of the Red Crossers are down, we pick them up. If we see somebody in the shelter, we pick them up. If the need is there, Red Cross is there and Raybo's there.
I am always so excited to see them go. You know, I love to come to the airport even if I don't get to get on the plane myself.
They marked his 31st deployment, and he says the goal will always be to alleviate pain and suffering and to make sure people feel safe and loved. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a volunteer, you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit redcross.org.
A tradition of kindness in a Holden Elementary School has helped alleviate food insecurity in the area. Late Holden Police Chief Chris Greeley died unexpectedly over a year ago, but his legacy lives on in giving back to others. Students at Holden Elementary School collected non-perishable food all year long for donations after choosing from a list of school year-long acts of kindness.
We've been getting a lot of food, and we've been buying stuff. I've been buying a lot of things like different foods and stuff for that. There's some people that don't have that much money, so they can't buy stuff. So people put this stuff into the food cupboard at Holbrook so they can come over and get some stuff.
Just so sweet. Food donations will be available for pickup at the Chef's Food Cupboard at Holbrook Middle School. For more information, you can visit rsu63.org. These elementary schoolers are proving that kindness can change lives.
And they're getting an early start and learning that lesson and implementing it as well. So, you know, kind of planting that seed early, which is great.
It really is.
Yeah.
Just adorable to hear from them. You can tell they understand.
They understand what's up. Yeah,
yep,
they definitely
awesome.
do. All righty, folks, well, that is going to do it for us from everyone here at Fox 22. We hope you have a great rest of your night.
Good night and have a great weekend.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
Your wallet is always in.
There'll be a number of events down through the years. We're going to be patient because we still are seeking justice for our beloved Holly.
Holly was always about helping someone. Whatever Holly did, she put forth her best effort, and it was just in her soul to be that kind, loving, nurturing person.
It's been more than 13 years since Holly's passing, and her legacy still remains. A stretch of Tennessee highway has been dedicated in her honor, and Holly's cousin, country singer Whitney Duncan, recorded a song to honor Holly.
I wanted to convey a message of she's not hurting anymore. You know, she is in a better place. But I know she's watching down and she sees everything, and she is happy.
After Holly's death, the Bobo family established a scholarship in her name for other nursing students.
As for Zach Adams, a hearing is scheduled next month when a judge is going to consider some of his legal filings. That's our program for tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
Real-life true crime drama. Follow the clues. The Hunt. Binge it all anytime. 2020 True Crime. Streaming now on Hulu.
Welcome to our annual gathering, the NBA Finals.
Here we go.
At the center of it are two exceptional teams, and yet you're all a part of it. But remember, no one sifts the champagne until a champ is crowned.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.